Stan, once again, you and I get to sit down for one of my very favorite times of the week where we get to do our Live on Cyber weekly show about all the latest, all the worst and the best of cybersecurity and how we, as a village and as a community, can do our part to secure our village. Are you excited to be here?
Oh, does a bear just do things in the woods? Uh,
Right?
yeah. No, and I am, because even as we talk about cybersecurity, and I mean, one can go down more rabbit holes than there are rabbits even in cybersecurity. I mean,
Oh my.
it's deep, it's complex, it's
Yes.
never ending. But that's also what makes it exhilarating in its own way. And let me put that in context.
Please do, sir. Because
Yeah,
exhilarating, boy,
right.
I mean, that's a tall order right there. So have at it, please.
Absolutely. But it goes back to something I first ran across 20 some years ago
Mhm.
when I had the opportunity to read a play by Tom Stoppard called Arcadia. If
Mm.
you may know Tom Stoppard, he's also done films, Shakespeare in Love, won an Academy Award, an excellent movie with some great lines in it as well. Stoppard's a master at that. So Arcadia takes place in two different time periods. One's the
Mm.
1820s, and the other is more modern. And the 1820s, the part particularly the Stoppard writes about, and it's part of my own background in history and mathematics and science and all. The 1820s was a time of scientific ferment.
Mm.
Absolutely. I mean, we were just beginning to discover the mathematics and science behind magnetism and electricity and heat and all of those things. And it was going to be another 50, 60 years later until the equations were written down and we could get things like radio, which was a big thing, 100 and some years ago. So Stoppard writes this in Arcadia, describing the 1820s. A door like this has cracked open 5 or 6 times since we got on our hind legs. It's the best possible time to be alive, when almost everything you thought you knew was wrong. Wow, what an opportunity to rebuild the world. And we're
Mm.
going through the same thing today. I mean, computers didn't exist
That's very true.
when I was born.
Yep.
Okay. I mean,
Yep.
I'm moderately old, right? They were around by the time you were born, but not like today,
Not like
you know,
today.
not like today. They're not everything's connected to everything. And that's just
Yes.
part of what everything we thought we knew was wrong. I mean,
Yes.
we're at a time in history where we don't agree on the facts. We don't
Yeah.
agree on what's true. The implications of climate change and is it man-made and all of that stuff. And, I mean, Wyoming, some legislator in Wyoming has just introduced a bill that Wyoming will not be able to sell electric vehicles in moving forward because he wants to protect the gas and oil industry. I mean, what are the facts
Change
here? I
is
mean,
hard. Change
change
is
is
very
very
hard.
hard. We're right in the
Yes.
middle of the permanence of government of the people, by the people, and for
Mhm.
the people. I mean, it's very deeply passionate for both of us.
Yes.
Um, and on security, I mean, good gods, uh, go back before the days of the internet. I mean, Bill Gates, back in 1999 in his book, about business at the speed of information, somewhat, it's whatever he called it,
Mhm.
uh, has a quote in it to the effect that the future belongs to people who can manage, use, gather, collect information. He doesn't say the word security in it at all. And that quote's, look it up on Google. You'll see it all over the place. Where was
Wow.
security? I mean, it's the world's anew. We get this opportunity to, yeah. What a great time to be alive.
It
But everything we
is.
thought we knew was wrong. Yeah,
It is. It's holding in tension the ever-present danger that we face, but
yeah,
also the fact that we don't have to, if we only focused on that and how to
yeah,
solve the immediate short-term right now problems, then we're missing everything that is unlocked by being alive right now.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And what you just said is profound. Being
Thank you, Dr.
alive
Stone.
right now, right here in this moment, we're alive. This is our chance. This is our
Yes.
opportunity. Yes, it's a scary moment. It truly is. I mean, businesses, World Economic Forum and others are estimating like $6 trillion was lost to cybercrime last year. $6 trillion. That's 6% of the world's GDP. That's 6% of our GDP.
Yeah.
Goes out
And
the
it's
door,
just
you know,
growing.
in cybercrime.
Yeah.
It's terribly sad. I mean, and that's also true for the victims, you know, and anything we can do to help people not become victims becomes a good, if you will. It's also obviously it's a dangerous time. Uh,
Yeah.
it's dangerous on the social media side, privacy and the truth side there, and on the cybersecurity side. Uh, Here in this moment, but also in this moment
Mhm.
is a long-term view. And that's where the excitement comes in. That's where I just the exhilaration, you know, Teddy Roosevelt charging up
Yeah.
San Juan Hill, kind of. You read those stories as a kid and you take in the mythology of like doing battle for good. Now, looking back on what Teddy Roosevelt was doing 100 and some years ago, we can argue whether or not it was good,
Yeah.
right? That's open. But that exhilaration, that sense of being in the battle, being a part of
Mhm.
it, you know, you see it in Zelensky. You
Do
see it
you
in
ever?
him. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, good gods, what they're going through is horrific, but he's not shying away from it. He's embraced it. Let's go do it. Let's be alive in this moment to it. And I think I see that with, you know, what we're doing.
Yeah, I do
Yeah.
as well. I do as
Yeah.
well. Stan, I
Yeah.
think what you're describing too is this thing that is probably very built within our DNA. The urge to fight, the
Yeah.
urge to know that we were made for more than the commute and the email and the rest of the things, right? And
Yeah.
like what lights that fire, I know in many of our eyes, is
Yeah.
watching fight, watching football, watching things where you see the chance to not just fight, but to shine, to
Hmm.
figure out that thing in you, right? And
Yeah.
it's that's I think very exciting too.
Yeah.
And I think that we're talking to an audience that is very prone to being head down, solving the right now problems, and isn't
Hmm.
really nudged very often to be the ones to say, hey, if you don't speak up on behalf of this, the enemy is at your door in
Yeah.
cybersecurity. They are pounding at the door and the walls and they're trying to find their way in. And you may be the only thing standing in the way of that company shutting down
Hmm.
because they were overthrown by the enemy. And
Yeah.
so weaving that mythology into this, that's exhilarating.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And what you said as well, uh, this urge to fight and how it manifests in sports. So I
Yeah.
watch hockey regularly. I'm a Detroit Red Wing fan. I've been a hockey fan since I was 12 years old.
Oh, yeah.
Um, and I saw it again last night. Player scores a goal.
Hmm.
First thing he does after, you know, the excitement of the goal is he points to the guy who fed him the puck that let him score the goal.
Yeah.
It's a team. You know, it's people working together, and you add that into the mix. I mean, and this is part of what's exciting about Secure the Village, because you know we're nobody's ever had to do what we're doing before,
Right.
right?
Right.
And we're not alone in it either. I mean, beyond there's the immediate Secure the Village, all the people, you know, we work with and the community
Hmm.
that we're building, but then there's also all these other communities also in the fight. Nonprofit cyber, we've talked about nonprofit cyber
Yes.
before. The 30 some nonprofits all working together to like, how do we amplify each other's voices? How do we
Hmm.
help each other? You know, I mean, we're part of a community of interested people and organizations like working together, like
Yes.
national security people and people down at ground level here in LA. I mean, connecting the dots that broad, you know, and all of this. I mean, like, how cool is that? You know?
Yes. It really is.
Yeah.
And so I think like as we imagine even looking ahead to 2023 and people who will be listening to
Yeah.
this discussion right now, which and we'll get to the exciting announcement about our podcast coming up soon, but what I
Hmm.
can say is that 2023 is going to be a big year for
Oh,
cybersecurity. A
yeah.
very big year. And if you're listening to this, it's because you care. You
Hmm.
wouldn't be listening to this if
Hmm.
you didn't have some desire to make a difference and to use your expertise to leverage that for the better of the people around you. So, what is
Hmm.
your role? And I think that you'll find that if in partnering with Secure the Village, just being around us and with us and attending our events, you're going to find that place where you fit, where
Hmm.
you can uniquely help and serve. And
Yeah.
so that's exciting. It's going to be a big year.
Yeah. No, and first, completely agree with you. 2023 is the year the corner will be turned. And okay, I'm an optimist. I say it. I know it.
Samesies.
Winston Churchill said, as for me, I'm an optimist. It doesn't make much sense to be anything else,
And I'm
not
usually
seem to be
right.
much use to be anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but we can see the forces. I mean, the cybercrime's rising on the one side. The insurance industry is in deep trouble
Yes.
financing insurance policies for this. That's government. I mean, it's impacting the ability. The Colonial Pipeline is just one illustration. I mean, gas on the East Coast for a week, people were having problems, and maybe more than a week. It's long ago enough, I don't remember, but we can't allow this to go on. We've got to get our arms around it.
Yes.
And the same with social media. We've, as you know, we've got a webinar coming up
Mm-hmm.
on the whole privacy issues and all of those. We have got to get our arms around this, and there's an continuing emerging understanding
Mm-hmm.
that this is happening. Businesses are making enough big mistakes. Experian just last week was in our news that they misconfigured their website. I mean, come on, this is 2023. This is not, 1997 or something. We know how to do this. Why isn't it? So
Yes.
properly, stuff's going to come down on Experian. It needs to.
Yes, it does.
And the other.
Of all of the organizations.
All of them, yeah.
I mean, yes.
So, and that's the other piece. There's so many different pieces to play it here. That's when you say, come join the community, find
Yes.
where your role is, and we can help you do that as well. I mean, that's just part of what we're all about. How do we get the community together to amplify and augment what we're all doing?
Absolutely. So some of the things that we have coming up this month, just in January, at Secure the Village. So we've got 2 really great learning sessions, one on biometrics and everything pertaining to that, but then also one on privacy, to your point, Stan. And what does it look like to have everybody profiting off of your personal information and being followed around? We did an exercise, Stan, on a call not long ago where we looked at our cookies. Even us, who take a whole lot of measures to be careful. It's just wild to know who was tracking you.
Yeah.
It's bad. So learning about what we can do to make sure that our privacy is guarded, is protected, not being sold, profited on, and political agendas being able to dictate what happens there.
That's right.
But in February, something that's really exciting for me too is that we're going to be launching this very fun session that our own Dr. Steve from Secure the Village is going to get to host a session helping people very tactically. And I can't wait for that to roll out because we got to just do this direct assistance wherever we can and use our skill set. So all that to say, people listening, you have a part to play, and we can't wait for you to not just attend events and listen, but to figure out where you can activate.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody's got a role. Yeah,
everybody's
protecting their families, protecting their homes.
Yes.
Protecting their places of work.
Yes.
Helping all the places, their places of worship as well, helping them, taking the word to them, taking the word to mothers and fathers and uncles and aunts, seniors who typically don't get this, teaching our children. It's an exhilarating time. We
it
get
really
to create
is
the world. This is anew.
Anew, indeed.
Yeah.
Well, and as you say anew, what I can tell you also is that we're trying to think about how we can get this information and get sessions like this one into the palm of your hand and leverage all our tools at our disposal to make sure you don't miss out. So one of those things that we're doing, so we do a weekly live on cyber discussion, and we're going to make sure that you don't miss it just because you're not on LinkedIn that day. We're putting it to your podcast, to the palm of your hand with your favorite podcast app. So whether you're Spotify, Apple Podcasts, even Amazon has its own and Google has its own. So wherever you listen to podcasts, you can start to look for our weekly live on cyber 15 to 20 minute discussions where we do hit on what is happening in the world of cybersecurity and all the exhilaration. That's a tall order again, Dr. Stan, that comes with recreating the world around us. So can't wait for you all to check it out. Go ahead and download to your favorite podcast discussion app. And if you would, once you see it, listen to it, like it, review it, share it with your friends. We'll be grateful for your help.